Today I'm reading from A Dress for a Queen. And the story is The Story That Got Away. Well, the excerpt from the story. It's about a woman in her 30s, how she becomes a successful writer. Well, not really successful. She gets paid for it. She's working in a small newspaper, local newspaper. And Rodney is her boss, who actually scubbers all her attempts to be successful and all her stories. And Maggie is his mother, who she's just going to visit to give a cup of tea, because that's part of her job. The first day I walked into the office, it felt like I was going to take on the world. I was going to be someone. I knew that just behind the next corner was a big story that would get me into the Herald or the Guardian. 5 years later, I'd given up waiting for the big story. Instead, I spent my time picking up Rodney's messages tossed in a variety of fashions at my feet and making tea for his mother. I was just about to go in, just about to flick the gate open, when I heard a shrill scream coming from Maggie. Maggie was quite fond of screaming, but this time it sounded different. I charged into Maggie's house. I held my breath even before I opened the door. Her home always smelt something like fish. Other times like mildew. Today it was like an old laundry basket full of socks, a smell that would stick to my clothes like cling film. As I entered the kitchen, I heard another scream coming from a male. I jumped the stairs 2 at a time and charged into the bedroom. In the corner was this terrified-looking teenager. He was clutching Maggie's mangled old jewellery box. He had one leg out the window, which was directly above Maggie's shed. Jesus, what had I walked into? In the nut, shelled Maggie, setting up for a better view. Grab him! Grab him, I thought. I'm not grabbing him. Let him jump out the window and break his leg. I'd seen what's in Maggie's jewellery box. She told me to use my kung fu. 2 classes of kung fu, and I'm supposed to be a ninja turtle risking my life for her Woolworths jewellery. Don't think so. The young man looked at the ground. His brain was ticking over. Jump 1 floor down or push that skinny 30-something old woman, paralysed with indecision. Maggie reached for her glasses as the young man made his choice. Trip him up, she shouted. By the balls! Physically impossible, I know, but I don't think she's seen any for a while. He made for the door, and before I had time to come out of the way, he knocked me down. We rolled across the landing, down the stairs like a sack of potatoes, collecting Maggie's 1,000,001 mats along the way. I hit my head, my arm, my hip, and as I crashed about on top, then underneath, a stick-thin young man with dandelion bum flush on his chin and his bony hips crashed against mine. My life flashed before me. It was even sadder than Maggie's memory of a man's appendage. And that wasn't yesterday. We landed on the floor. The unknown man scrambled to his feet and looked at me with his pale blue eyes, rubbed his backside, sniffed and muttered, and a very unconvincing, "See you're for it." I watched him vanish into the afternoon sun. An impressive feat, considering his jeans hung so low. You could see not only his underpants, but his "Hope is for Losers" tattoo across the bottom of his spine. He escaped the way he came, the door slamming behind him, leaving the faint whiff of cigarette smoke. I hardly noticed. I was flat on my back, clutching the battered jewellery box to my chest while staring at the cobwebs on the ceiling, swaying from the activity. I was in shock. My life had flashed before me in seconds, quicker than a roll down the stairs and more boring than a collection of ties. I went back to the car. I had my story, a title, and I scribbled it down before I could even think. How does a fall down the stairs change your life? Till next time, happy reading.